What if the most powerful spiritual force in the universe has been hiding inside the simplest act you perform thousands of times a day? Breathing. Think about it. Every single breath you take carries something far more profound than oxygen. There is a sacred presence moving through you right now, in this very moment, and most people will live their entire lives without ever recognizing it. Has this ever happened to you? You sit in meditation, you pray with everything you have, you read sacred texts searching for answers, yet something still feels missing. You reach outward, desperately seeking a connection with the divine, while all along that very presence has been flowing through every inhale and exhale you've ever taken. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Here's what nobody told you. The divine doesn't live in distant heavens waiting for your prayers to arrive. It doesn't hide in ancient temples or sacred mountains. The infinite presence you've been searching for speaks through you with every breath, pulses through your veins, and animates the very awareness reading these words right now. When you finally understand this, when you truly let the divine flow through every breath you take, something extraordinary happens. Your problems don't just get solved, they dissolve. Your fears don't just diminish, they lose their power entirely. Your entire experience of being alive transforms from struggle into grace. What you're about to discover might surprise you. This isn't another spiritual technique to master or a new belief system to adopt. This is about recognizing what has always been true about you, a truth so simple that humanity has overlooked it for thousands of years. The breath you just took, that wasn't just your lungs working mechanically. That was life itself choosing to express through you. That was the infinite making itself known in the most intimate way possible. We've been conditioned to believe that spiritual awakening requires years of discipline, countless hours of practice, perhaps even suffering before we earn the right to touch the sacred. But what if the greatest spiritual misconception of all time is this very idea of separation? What if the divine has never been absent, never been distant, never required you to become worthy of its presence? Stay with me until the end of this video, because what we're about to explore together goes far beyond philosophy or abstract ideas. This is the living truth that ancient masters tried to transmit, the same truth that mystics across every tradition have whispered about. And it begins with something as simple as your next breath. The question isn't whether the divine exists. The question is what changes when you finally stop seeking it outside yourself and recognize it as the very life force breathing you into existence, moment by moment. When Jesus spoke those powerful words, "I am the way, the truth, and the life," he wasn't making a bold claim about his human personality. He wasn't setting himself apart as someone special or unreachable. No, he was revealing something far more profound, something that has been misunderstood for centuries. He was pointing directly to the nature of consciousness itself, showing us that the I we speak of every single day is not merely a personal identity. It is the voice of the divine, individualized as your being, as my being, as every being that has ever drawn breath. This hidden truth changes everything. The awareness you experience right now, the simple sense of I exist that you carry with you in every moment. This is not separate from the infinite. This is not a fragment hoping to reconnect with the whole. This is the whole expressing itself through the unique lens of your life. And here's where the real transformation begins. This isn't philosophy to be debated or a new belief to be adopted. This is a recognition of what has always been true about you, long before you learned to doubt it. Consider the journey most of us have been on. We spend years, sometimes decades, seeking connection with something greater. We meditate, we pray, we perform rituals, we read books, all in the hope of finally touching the sacred. But what if that very seeking is what keeps us from finding? What if the mindset of, I am here and God is somewhere else, is the only thing standing between you and the peace you've been longing for? The impact of this shift cannot be overstated. When you stop seeing yourself as a person desperately trying to connect with the divine and start recognizing yourself as divine presence, expressing uniquely as a person, something remarkable happens. The struggle ends, the efforting dissolves. You no longer have to fight your way towards spiritual experience because you realize you are spiritual experience happening right now. If this message resonated with you, consider subscribing. This channel is here to help you remember the truth of who you really are. This affects everything: your health, your relationships, your work, your entire way of moving through the world. Decisions that once felt heavy become lighter. Problems that seemed impossible begin to unravel. Not because you've acquired some new power, but because you've stopped blocking the power that was always flowing through you. You simply breathe, and in that breath, you recognize something ancient and eternal moving as you. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because understanding this intellectually is just the beginning. The real revelations come when we examine the subtle ways we unknowingly block this divine flow every single day, often with words we speak without even thinking. If this perspective is resonating with something deep inside you, write in the comments, I am awakening to this truth. Here is something that might shake you to your core once you truly see it. Every single day, without even realizing it, you speak words that shape your entire reality. And the most dangerous ones are the phrases that seem completely innocent. Think about what crosses your mind from the moment you wake up. I am tired. I am stressed. I am broke. I am not good enough. I am stuck. These statements feel so normal, so automatic, that we never stop to question them. But behind the scenes of your everyday language, something profound is happening. Every time you attach those two sacred words, I am, to any form of limitation, you are literally giving divine power to illusion. You are taking the infinite creative force of the universe and binding it to lack, to fear, to smallness. When you say, I am afraid, you are not simply describing a feeling. You are claiming that the eternal awareness at your very core, the same presence that breathes galaxies into existence, is experiencing fear. Can you see the hidden truth in this? Can you feel the weight of what we do to ourselves unconsciously, day after day, year after year? This is not about positive thinking or repeating affirmations you don't believe. This is about recognizing the profound impact of identification itself. And here is where the real revelation comes. The journey of spiritual awakening is not about adding something new to who you are. It is not about accumulating more knowledge, more practices, more techniques until you finally become worthy of transformation. That mindset keeps you trapped in an endless loop of seeking. The truth is far simpler and far more liberating. Your authentic identity already exists. It has always existed. You are not working to become something better. You are simply learning to stop identifying with what you are not. The awareness that you truly are has never been sick. It has never been broke. It has never been afraid or limited or unworthy. Those are experiences that flow through consciousness like clouds moving across an open sky. But you are not the clouds. You are the sky itself, vast, unchanging, and eternally present. The clouds come and go, feelings arise and dissolve, circumstances shift and transform. But the I that witnesses all of this remains untouched, whole, complete. This is not a concept to believe in. This is a recognition that changes everything about how you move through life. When you stop claiming limitation as your identity, when you stop breathing life into fear through your words and thoughts, something opens up. Decisions become clearer. The weight you've been carrying begins to lift. You start responding to life from wholeness rather than reacting from lack. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because there is a subtle but powerful distinction that can completely shift your experience of every challenge you face, and it all comes down to how you relate to what appears in your life. If you're beginning to see how your words have been shaping your reality, write in the comments, "I am aware now." There is a subtle distinction that most people never notice, yet it holds the power to completely revolutionize how you experience every challenge that arises in your life. Listen carefully to the difference between these two statements. "I am in pain" versus "I am experiencing pain." On the surface, they might sound almost identical, but behind the scenes of language, something entirely different is happening in each case. When you say, "I am in pain," you are fusing your eternal identity with a temporary condition. You are declaring that the infinite awareness you truly are has become the pain itself. But when you say, "I am experiencing pain," you acknowledge something passing through your awareness without claiming it as who you are. This is not semantic games. This is the hidden truth that changes everything about how suffering moves through your life. If something here created a moment of clarity, leaving a like helps this message reach others who are ready for it. Consider how this applies to every area of your existence. Instead of "I am sick," you might recognize something far more accurate. Divine wholeness is expressing through this body, which is currently showing symptoms. Instead of "I am broke," you could acknowledge infinite abundance is currently expressing through this particular financial situation. The circumstances remain the same, the sensations in your body remain the same, but your relationship to them transforms entirely, and that transformation has profound effects on what happens next. When illness appears, the automatic human response is to immediately claim ownership. "I am sick. I need to be healed. Something is wrong with me." This mindset creates instant identification with the condition and places the solution somewhere in the future, requiring struggle and effort to reach it. But here is the revelation that shifts the entire paradigm. The divine awareness at your core cannot be sick, because that awareness is infinite spirit. It was never born, it will never die, and it cannot be touched by any condition that appears within it. This does not mean you ignore symptoms or avoid practical action. You still take care of the body, you still make wise decisions, but the consciousness from which you act is completely different. You are no longer a sick person desperately trying to become well. You are wholeness itself, witnessing a temporary appearance that has no power to define your true nature. From this place, healing unfolds naturally, not through force or desperation, but through recognition. The impact of this shift reaches far beyond physical health. It touches your emotional life, your relationships, your financial reality, every single area where you have been unconsciously identifying with limitation. When you stop claiming conditions as your identity, they lose their grip on you. They become what they always were, passing experiences in the vast openness of awareness. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because there is a crucial difference between trying to affirm your way to a new reality and simply recognizing what has always been true. Understanding this distinction is where real transformation begins. If this way of seeing is opening something new in you, write in the comments, "I am not my conditions." There is a crucial difference that separates those who struggle endlessly on the spiritual path from those who finally break through into genuine freedom. It comes down to understanding the gap between affirmation and recognition. Most of us have been taught that if we want to change our lives, we need to repeat positive statements until they become true. We stand in front of mirrors declaring abundance while feeling broke, proclaiming health while sensing illness, affirming love while experiencing loneliness, and we wonder why nothing shifts. Here is the hidden truth behind why affirmations so often fail. They come from a place of perceived absence. When you affirm something, you are essentially acknowledging that you do not have it and are trying to create it through repetition. There is a subtle desperation in this approach, a struggle against what is. But recognition operates from an entirely different foundation. Recognition does not try to create anything. It simply acknowledges what has always been true, regardless of temporary appearances. One mindset fights reality. The other rests in it completely. This is not about convincing yourself of something false. This is about seeing through the illusion to what was never absent in the first place. You are not trying to manipulate the universe through spiritual techniques. You are simply recognizing the truth that sets you free with every breath you take. And when this recognition becomes your lived experience, rather than just an idea, transformation happens naturally. Let me share a story that illustrates this perfectly. A woman named Margaret had suffered with debilitating chronic pain for 7 long years. Doctors could find nothing wrong. Every test came back normal, yet her suffering was very real and very constant. She had tried everything: medications, therapies, alternative treatments, spiritual practices. Nothing worked. By the time she met Goldsmith, she was exhausted, desperate, and ready to give up hope entirely. What happened next changed her life forever. Joel did not pray for her healing. He did not perform any technique or prescribe any practice. Instead, he asked one simple question that cut through everything. Who is the I that says, I am in pain? Can infinite spirit hurt? Can the divine actually suffer? Margaret sat in silence for nearly 20 minutes, letting that question penetrate deeply. And in that stillness, a revelation began to dawn. She realized she had spent 7 years identifying her true self, the eternal awareness at her core, with the body and its sensations. She had been claiming the pain as her own, breathing life into it with every thought of, I am in pain. Within 3 weeks, her pain began to diminish. Within 2 months, it had dissolved completely, not because she fought against it or forced it away, but because she stopped claiming it as her identity. She recognized what she had always been beneath the suffering. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because Margaret's story is not unique. The same principle that freed her from years of physical suffering has transformed lives in every area, including financial struggle. If her journey resonates with something you're experiencing, write in the comments, I am ready to stop claiming my pain. The same principle that dissolved Margaret's physical pain applies with equal power to financial struggle. Consider Robert, a businessman who was watching everything he had built crumble around him. His company was failing, debts were mounting. Every morning he woke with a weight pressing down on his chest and thoughts racing through his mind. I am failing. I am losing everything. I am going to end up with nothing. His prayers were desperate pleas for rescue, reaching out to some power beyond himself to save him from impending collapse. But here is what Robert could not see at the time. Behind the scenes of his financial crisis, something far more destructive was happening. Every single morning, before he even got out of bed, he was claiming lack as his identity. He was breathing divine power into limitation. He was using those sacred words, I am, to anchor himself to the very reality he was trying to escape. The pivotal moment in Robert's journey came when he recognized this pattern. He made one simple change to his morning routine. Before checking emails, before looking at financial statements, before allowing the world's demands to flood his awareness, he would sit quietly and recognize something different. Not affirm, not plead, Simply recognize divine abundance is, infinite resource is, divine intelligence is expressing right now. He was not trying to create abundance. He was acknowledging its eternal presence. The transformation did not happen overnight. It took 4 months of consistent practice. But gradually, something shifted in his experience. Innovative ideas began emerging from nowhere. Unexpected connections appeared. Opportunities that had been invisible suddenly became obvious. His business did not merely survive, it evolved into something more aligned with his true purpose. The most profound change was not in his circumstances, but in his consciousness. When he stopped identifying with lack, abundance finally had room to flow through him naturally. This principle extends even further than our own struggles. What we hold as true about others has power as well. A mother came seeking help for her son, who was caught in the grip of severe drug addiction. She had tried everything, as interventions, therapy, tough love, enabling, bargaining. Nothing worked. Her son continued spiraling, disappearing for weeks, breaking her heart with every cycle. What she was told seemed almost impossible to accept. Stop praying for your son to change. Stop seeing him as an addict. His real identity is divine presence, and that presence cannot be addicted. It cannot be enslaved to any substance. For 6 months, this mother practiced seeing only the truth of her son's being, not the appearance of his behavior. Some days seemed worse than before, but she held steady in her recognition. The breakthrough came gradually, almost imperceptibly. Her son entered treatment on his own initiative. Unlike previous attempts, he stayed committed. Years later, he remains free, not because she changed him through her efforts, but because she stopped empowering the false identity that appeared as addiction. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because knowing these truths intellectually is one thing. Living them in moments of crisis requires a simple but powerful practice that can anchor you when everything feels overwhelming. If you are beginning to see how your perception shapes the reality of those around you, write in the comments, "I choose to see the truth." Knowing these truths is one thing, but what happens when life crashes down on you? With full force? When fear floods your body and your mind races with worst-case scenarios? When the diagnosis comes, the relationship ends, the business fails? In those moments, intellectual understanding means nothing unless you have a way to access deeper truth when you need it most. This is where the practice of the pause becomes essential. It is deceptively simple, yet profoundly transformative. When crisis overwhelms you, when circumstances feel impossible, when panic begins to rise, you pause. You stop everything. You do not immediately react. You do not scramble to fix the problem. You do not spiral into fear. You simply pause. In that deliberate moment of stillness, you ask yourself one question: what is the truth of my being right now? Not what appears to be happening, but what is eternally true beneath all appearances. And the answer is always the same. Divine presence is untouched by any condition. Wholeness is, supply is, safety is. This is not about pretending the crisis does not exist or denying what your eyes can see. It is about anchoring your consciousness in what is more real than any temporary appearance. From this centered awareness, something remarkable happens. Solutions begin to emerge that were completely invisible from the perspective of the problem. Decisions become clearer. The right action reveals itself. You respond from wisdom rather than react from fear. The outer situation may not change immediately, but your relationship to it transforms entirely, and that shift changes everything about what happens next. This practice leads naturally into one of the most liberating revelations you can experience: the transformation of your relationship with abundance and supply. Throughout our entire lives, We have been conditioned to believe that resources come from external sources. Your job provides money. Your clients provide income. Your investments provide security. This mindset creates a constant undercurrent of fear running through everything. What if I lose my job? What if these clients leave? What if the market crashes? But here is the hidden truth that dissolves all financial anxiety. Your employer is not your source. Your clients are not your source. Your investments are not your source. The divine is your source, and that source is infinite, inexhaustible, and eternally flowing. The channels through which supply appears may change. One door closes while three others open. One stream diminishes while new ones emerge. But the source itself never fails, never runs out, never diminishes. When you truly grasp this, your entire experience of money and resources shifts. When you pay bills, instead of anxiety about what is leaving your account, you can recognize infinite supply is making itself visible right now. When you give to others, instead of fear of having less, you recognize, I give from infinite fullness, not from personal limitation. This consciousness naturally attracts supply through unexpected channels, synchronistic meetings, and opportunities you could never have manufactured through worry and manipulation. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because everything we have explored so far reaches its fullest expression in one area of life that reveals our deepest beliefs about ourselves, our relationships with other people. If this understanding of true supply is shifting something in you, write in the comments. The infinite is my source. Relationships are perhaps the most revealing mirror for everything we have been exploring. They expose our deepest beliefs about ourselves with ruthless honesty. And here is the hidden truth that transforms every connection you will ever have. Most relationship problems do not stem from incompatibility or communication issues or finding the wrong person. They stem from one fundamental misconception, the belief that we are incomplete and need someone else to fill our emptiness. Think about how most of us approach love. We feel a void inside, a sense that something is missing, and we go searching for another person to make us whole. We seek validation, security, affection, all the things we believe we lack. And when we find someone who seems to provide them, we cling, we grasp, we live in constant fear that they might leave and take our wholeness with them. This is not love. This is desperate trading of neediness, and it places an impossible burden on every relationship. But when you recognize that infinite love is the very nature of your being, everything changes. You are no longer seeking love from outside yourself. You are expressing the love that you already are. You do not need completion from another because you were never incomplete. From this foundation, relationships transform entirely. They become joyful, sharing between two whole beings, rather than anxious grasping between two halves trying to become one. One woman discovered this after 3 failed marriages. Instead of immediately searching for the next relationship to make her happy, she made a different decision. For a full year, she focused solely on knowing herself as complete, not fixing herself, not improving herself, simply recognizing the wholeness that had always been her true nature. When she eventually met someone new, everything was different. There was no desperation, no clinging, no fear of loss. Just 2 complete people choosing to share life together. 20 years later, that relationship continues to thrive, built on truth rather than need. This brings us to the ultimate integration of everything we have explored. The journey does not end with occasional moments of recognition during meditation or crisis. It culminates when living as divine presence becomes your constant state, your moment-by-moment experience. You wake in the morning as infinite awareness. You move through your work as infinite awareness. You love and connect as infinite awareness expressing through human form. Every single breath becomes sacred, not because you make it so through effort, but because you finally recognize what it has always been. You are no longer a person trying to be spiritual. You are spirit itself, appearing as a person. The divine is not something distant you must reach toward. It is the very awareness, reading these words, the consciousness that has been present throughout your entire life, unchanging beneath all the changing circumstances. This is what changes when you let the divine flow through every breath you take. The struggle ends, the seeking dissolves, and what remains is simply presence, vast, peaceful, complete. With every inhale, you receive the infinite. With every exhale, you express it into the world. This is your true nature. This is what you have always been. If this journey has awakened something within you, write in the comments, "I am complete." If you have made it this far, something in these words was meant to reach you. This was not an accident. The fact that you stayed until the very end tells me you are ready to stop seeking what you already are, ready to let every breath become a recognition of the presence that has always been flowing through you. I would love to continue this journey with you. If this message touched something real inside you, consider subscribing to this channel. Every video we create here is designed to bring you back to this truth, to help you remember what the world constantly tries to make you forget. Having you as part of this community makes every exploration richer and more meaningful. Leave a comment below with the words, "This message found me at the right time." Let me know you were here, that these words landed somewhere deep. I read every single comment, and yours might be exactly what someone else needs to see today. And if this content created even a moment of clarity, a single breath of recognition, leaving a like is a simple way to honor that connection. It also helps others who are searching for exactly this kind of truth to find their way here. Now, there is a video right here that takes everything we explored today even further. It shows you how to maintain this awareness when life gets difficult, when the noise of the world tries to pull you back into forgetting. Click and continue with me over there. Until next time, remember, you are not seeking what you already are. The divine is not somewhere else. It is breathing through you right now in this very moment. I will see you in the next one.